Once upon a time, a master wizard and his young apprentice lived in a magical forest.
Welcome back, everybody. We're here with the next game and the next developer, which is the game Into the Woods. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Hi, everybody. My name is Olivia, and I'm currently, or not currently, but I was a student at Chico State, and we made the game Into the Woods.
That's awesome. So, I guess we'll begin with the basic question. You guys, you said that you were from Chico State, and what was your role in the development of the game?
Oh, shoot, I totally forgot. I was the designer on the game.
Designer. Okay, awesome. What were so? I guess I'll begin playing, and then you can talk to me about you can talk to me about the development of the game. Also, I like Super Adventure Challenge Mode combines everything together.
No, that was my favorite thing to name overall. I think there was just lots of different things that went into that. And initially, actually, it was supposed to be something that you got to unlock and buy. But as the development kind of went forward, I was like, well, why don't we just unlock it? And so players will get to basically experience anything that they want to right from the get-go.
That makes sense. Like, it's one of those things where I think Devil May Cry has it so that you unlock different difficulties, but that would probably would have been difficult for that would have been difficult to manage for. Was this game made for a semester, for a class?
Yeah, so we have a class for our major, and I'm pretty sure you talked to one of the developers earlier for CHD 495, which is our senior advanced production class.
Oh.
And the way that class works is it's basically like working in a studio. You need to apply for the class, and you apply for specific positions, and then you get to basically have those different positions in the class.
I know that some members of the audience probably might go to universities that don't have full-on game development programs. Mm-hmm. So it's very cool that yours offers it.
Yeah, no, it's been a great experience, I think, so far. Especially because I definitely didn't go down like a standard route, as everybody does in our major. So I actually have a major in animation production. So it's been really fun for me to get to learn about what it means to make a game and even get to design a game. So that's been super fun for me.
And you said that you were in charge of design for this game. So tell me a little bit more about that experience and how it went down for you. Some highlights, lowlights, anything like that.
Absolutely. I think that this game was I don't know. You know how you have like really fun shower thoughts? Like this kind of was born out of like an idea that I had in the shower. I was like, oh, what if you were like traveling in the woods and you were a magical person? Because I've always been just obsessed with the idea of magic and if you could be a spellcaster of sorts. So I kind of just designed this game, and a lot of inspiration from it came from a game called The Binding of Isaac, which I'm pretty sure that you all are well aware of.
Yep, I'm a huge fan of Binding of Isaac.
Yeah, so I actually didn't know that at the time, but then as I started designing the game more and I was talking about it with my friends, they were like, well, have you ever played The Binding of Isaac? I was like, I mean, I've watched people play it. And then I kind of just went and bought the game, started playing it, and started writing out a design document. So that was super fun for me to be able to create that and just kind of make this vision come to life. And I had a great team behind me to make it all happen. So that was another highlight, I guess, of the design process.
Meeting a bunch of different people who you could theoretically work with in the future, too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I just like I want to give a huge shout out to my team because every time I see the game either played or I play it myself or I see it on screen or somebody else is enjoying it, it's honestly it's all them. I may have created all these different ideas, but it's really my team that brought it all together and made it happen. So
This game was really fun. I did a playthrough earlier to make sure that it was running on my computer, and I had a lot of fun with it.
Oh, I'm so glad. Yeah, no, that like I said, it's literally all thanks to my team. I love all the different characters that are created. I love everything about it, the animations, the aesthetic, just it all came together so well. I couldn't have asked for a better team of people.
You mentioned earlier that you wrote a game design document. That's actually something that is fairly important. I've seen that in other discussions too, but it's not something that I think we've really talked about. So would you like to go a little bit more into detail about that?
For sure. I mean, so to be honest, I didn't even know really what a game design document was until much of last semester or this semester in my schooling because I worked for the first time as a producer on a game last semester, and so this semester I was in charge of making that design document. And the way that I kind of approached it was just I want anybody who has any questions about the game to be able to reference that design document and know exactly what they need to do in order to make the game. So if someone had a question about how something was supposed to function, how something was supposed to look, that they would be able to find the answers in that document. So it all goes down from programming, main mechanics and features, the formal elements of the game, the visual design of the game, and it kind of just blocks it all down into separate sections and an outline that you can read through if you're feeling like you want to know more about it.
Right, definitely, and that's important. That's one of those things that I think is important to have for games in general. I'm not sure exactly if the production panel talked about it a lot, but actually, it's perfect timing for you to be talking with us since we just had the production panel.
Yeah.
I guess next question would be, you mentioned earlier that this was kind of like a shower thought, but where did that shower thought kind of come from?
I mean, to be honest, I think that like the best ideas come in the shower when you're just kind of like being reflective. I don't know what to say. It mostly kind of came off of the story. So one of my favorite parts of this game that we were able to get in, not at the last minute, but in our final sprint, one of the things that we were able to get in was a scene at the very beginning when you launch the game. So similar to the way that Binding of Isaac has the story of Isaac and how he starts, I wanted to create that backstory because something that's important for me is basically creating this narrative of the why we have this game or why you're doing something. I don't ever feel like you should only be doing something because of X, Y, or Z. And so that story kind of developed in my brain first. I was like, okay, so like what if you were in this forest and something happened to somebody that was important to you and now you're gotta go fight and save them. So that was kind of this initial idea for me, was making sure that that story was behind everything. So I guess
a sense of context was like kind of important.
Say that again, sorry?
Some sort of like context, I think.
So because a huge thing in our major is that we literally only have 16 weeks to make a game, so there's not really time to create these huge narrative driven stories. So whenever I kind of created ideas, for me it wasn't really about making sure that you're following a story as you're playing the game, but that the game itself has a story, if that makes sense at all.
Right, okay. And I saw that, I did actually see the intro. Unfortunately, I couldn't really pause it, but I did, I was like, oh yeah, this is really cool. Like, I understand why I'm here now. Like,
yeah.
It did, now that you mentioned the Binding of Isaac, I was originally going to say that this reminded me of Legend of Zelda.
Oh, yeah.
Binding of Isaac makes more sense.
Yeah, so it was so funny because when I had designed the game, I've never played a Zelda game. I had never played Isaac. And so it was a whole adventure because people were telling me, oh, this game reminds me of like the Binding of Isaac and like Legend of Zelda. I was like, that's great. I've never played those.
Yeah, exactly.
These are things I just kind of came up with, I guess. And they just happened to be, I guess, games that have already been made before. But I guess that goes back to the idea of like, who really has original ideas, right? We all just kind of create ideas off of other ideas that we see.
And like even Binding of Isaac, I'm pretty sure is inspired directly by Zelda. So, and Zelda was inspired by other things. So it's kind of a point. It is actually very cool to see that like, even though those elements did end up somewhat like you did end up engaging with those elements, it wasn't the primary thing.
Yeah, And I don't know, I guess that's the fun part, right? Is like you come up with these really fun ideas and people are like, oh, this reminds me exactly of that. But then at the same time, when we were going through the iterative process of these things, going and looking at those games was a great way to make sure that this game was continuing to be fun and that we can continue to create different things that would be interesting for people.
Great artists steal, but they don't plagiarize. They do not plagiarize. That was mentioned in the production panel as well.
Yeah, no, honestly, because I guess the way that we kind of approach it is like kind of almost a consumer standpoint of making sure that the consumer is going to like what you're creating, and that was a huge part of the questions that I had in like feedback forms when we were creating this game, was to make sure that people were having fun while they were doing it, because that was super important to me.
Like making sure, like it's a game, making sure that people are having fun and they're not like frustrated is one of those very important things.
Yeah, absolutely.
How long? I guess a couple final questions, because we have to go with the next slot. But the final questions that I have are: one, do you have any plans for the game's future development? Since I know there was a game that was made for your class. But the second question is, do you have any final remarks for the audience? Anybody you want to shout out, say hi to?
For sure.
Anything like that.
Let's see. As far as future development goes, I actually graduated this semester, so I don't have any current plans in the future to move on with the game. I mean, if somebody wished that they wanted to, they could probably just like hit me up, let me know. But no, I don't have any current plans to move forward. But in terms of like final remarks for people, I really just want to give a huge shout out to my team and everything that they did for the game, because it is truly amazing to kind of watch everything that you create come to life, right? And that's such a unique experience that I don't think I would have gotten without them. So huge thank you to them and everything that they've done, because their hard work was what made this game what it is today.
And I guess with that, thank you so much. And I see that there's a seed in the bottom right. I just noticed. So that if you want to play this, this exact map and maybe get to the boss, you can just use this seed over here, 921-356-42, and then you can play yourself. So you can see if you can beat my time. Thank you so much for being with us. We really liked it. That was a really fun game, and it was very good to see your thought process and your the work of your team coming together into a really cool final product.
Of course, thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good rest of your